Welcome to this deep dive into ultra-scalable system design. Today, we are exploring the architectural complexity of running custom resources and operators within a multi-tenant environment. As senior architects, you know that Kubernetes was not built with hard multi-tenancy as a first-class citizen, yet it remains the industry standard for shared infrastructure. We must navigate the fine line between efficiency and isolation. When we introduce custom resource definitions, or CRDs, we are essentially extending the Kubernetes API. However, in a multi-tenant cluster, these extensions become global objects that can impact every tenant. Our goal today is to master the patterns that allow us to deploy these powerful automation engines without compromising the security or stability of the underlying platform. We will focus on how to maintain high availability and global scaling while ensuring that one tenant's operator logic cannot interfere with another's workload or the shared control plane. This is about building a robust platform as a service on top of Kubernetes. The foundation of any multi-tenant cluster is the namespace. While namespaces provide a logical boundary for standard resources like pods and services, custom resources introduce a unique challenge because their definitions are cluster-wide. To run operators effectively, we must implement strict RBAC policies that prevent cross-tenant access. Every operator instance should be scoped to a specific namespace, unless it is a central platform operator that manages cluster-wide logic. We utilize role bindings instead of cluster role bindings whenever possible to adhere to the principle of least privilege. Furthermore, we must consider the network layer. Using network policies to isolate tenant traffic ensures that even an operator is compromised, the blast radius is contained. We are aiming for a design where a failure in tenant A has zero impact on tenant B. This structural isolation is the prerequisite for scaling our custom controllers across a global infrastructure. Let's examine the CRD itself. Since CRDs are cluster-scoped, defining a CRD makes it available to all tenants. This creates a governance challenge. If you have multiple versions of an operator running, they must all be compatible with the current CRD schema. We manage this through conversion webhooks, which allow the API server to transform resources between different versions, like v1 alpha 1 and v1 beta 1, on the fly. This is critical for high-availability clusters where downtime is not an option. We also use validation webhooks to ensure that tenants cannot submit malformed data that might crash our controllers. By enforcing schema validation at the API level, we protect our infrastructure from invalid states. Remember, in a shared environment, the CRD is your contract with the developers. It must be stable, well-documented, and strictly enforced to prevent cascading failures across your global fleet. Choosing the right deployment pattern is vital for scaling. The most common patterns are the single central operator and the per-tenant operator. In the single central operator model, a one-to-many relationship exists, where one controller watches all namespaces. This is efficient for resource usage, but creates a single point of failure and a high-privilege target. Conversely, the per-tenant operator model involves deploying an operator instance within each tenant's namespace. This provides the best isolation and allows tenants to manage their own upgrade cycles, but it significantly increases the resource overhead of the cluster. For senior architects, the hub-and-spoke model often provides the best balance, where a central manager coordinates lightweight agents. We must evaluate the trade-offs in memory consumption and API server pressure when deciding which pattern to implement for our high-availability services. The biggest risks in multi-tenancy is the noisy neighbor effect. An operator that goes into an infinite loop or performs heavy reconciliation can starve other tenants of CPU and memory. To mitigate this, we implement resource quotas and limit ranges at the namespace level. This ensures that even a runaway operator is capped at a predefined resource limit. We also utilize priority classes to ensure that critical system operators are never evicted in favor of tenant workloads. When designing for global scaling, we must also consider object quotas. If a tenant's operator creates thousands of custom resources, it can overwhelm the etcd database that backs the Kubernetes API. By setting limits on the number of instances of a specific custom resource per namespace, we maintain the performance and responsiveness of the entire cluster control plane. Security is paramount. In a multi-tenant cluster, an operator is a high-value target because it often requires permissions to create, update, or delete other resources. We must strictly adhere to the principle of least privilege. This means creating specific service accounts for each operator and using RBAC to grant only the exact permissions needed. Avoid using cluster admin at all costs. For cross-namespace operations, use secret management carefully to ensure that an operator in namespace A cannot read secrets from namespace B. We also recommend using tools like KIAM or IAM roles for service accounts, or ISA, if running on cloud providers, to link Kubernetes identities with cloud provider identities. This allows for fine-grained access to external resources, like S3 buckets or RDS databases, ensuring that your multi-tenant isolation extends beyond the cluster itself. When running many operators in a large cluster, the API server can become a bottleneck. Every operator needs to watch resources for changes. If 500 operators are all watching the same resource, the traffic can be immense. To solve this, we use informers and shared informer factories. These allow multiple controllers to share a single cache of the cluster state, significantly reducing the number of requests to the API server. For senior engineers, tuning the resync period is also vital. Setting it too low causes unnecessary load, while setting it too high can delay state reconciliation. We must also optimize our worker queues to handle concurrent processing of events. By implementing rate limiting and exponential backoff in our controllers, we ensure that the system remains stable even under heavy load during a global scaling event. You cannot manage what you cannot measure. In a multi-tenant environment, monitoring must be tenant-aware. This means every metric exported by our operators should include a tenant or a namespace label. Using Prometheus and Grafana, we can create dashboards that show resource consumption and operator health on a per-tenant basis. This is not just for troubleshooting. It's also for chargeback or showback models, where you need to report infrastructure costs back to specific business units. We should monitor reconciliation latency, the time it takes for an operator to move the system from its current state to the desired state. High latency often indicates a bottleneck in the operator logic or the underlying API server. By setting up alerts on per-tenant metrics, we can identify and resolve issues before they affect the entire cluster. To maintain order in a multi-tenant cluster, we need automated governance. Admission controllers are our best tool here. Using validating admission webhooks, we can inspect every request that comes into the API server and reject those that don't meet our standards, such as a tenant trying to create a resource without the required labels, or a pod with insufficient security context. Tools like Open Policy Agent or OPA or Kyverno allow us to write these policies as code. For example, we can enforce a policy that no operator can be deployed unless it has a specific resource limit defined. We can also use mutating webhooks to automatically inject sidecars or environment variables into tenant workloads. This ensures consistency and compliance across all tenants without requiring manual intervention from the infrastructure team. As we conclude, we look toward the future of global scaling. Managing a single multi-tenant cluster is one thing, but managing a fleet of such clusters across multiple regions requires a GitOps approach. By using tools like Argo CD or Flux, we can define our entire cluster state, including CRDs and operators, in a Git repository. This ensures that every cluster in our global infrastructure is synchronized and compliant. GitOps provides a clear audit trail and allows for rapid disaster recovery. As senior architects, your goal is to treat the entire fleet as a single entity, utilizing fleet management patterns to push updates and policies across thousands of nodes. By combining the power of operators with the reliability of GitOps, you can build a truly ultra-scalable, high-availability platform that serves as the foundation for modern enterprise software.